Mm. Oh, that's good. Hey, Jack here. Welcome to Facebook and or YouTube, however you're watching this. I guess we put up the banner, I don't drink alone. I guess that's what we're calling it. But it's more for the metaphor. I mean, sure, I have a drink alone. I guess I'm doing it right now in this sense, but I'm not alone. I'm with you. It's more about enjoying something that's really good, sharing that with someone, because then it becomes better, doesn't it? And we got a couple of friends. You know, Ken, my producer. Say hi, Ken. He's with us as always. And by producer, I mean he does all the technical stuff. What are you drinking tonight?
The beers.
Oh, that was a funny skit. What kind of beer are you drinking?
This is a Mother Road Kolsch.
You want to give us more details on that?
Mother Road Brewing.
And
it's a Kolsch, so nice and light. Good.
Yeah, not everybody knows that.
German ale.
Ken thinks everybody knows as much as he does about all that. I'm just drinking a vodka ginger myself, and my nice, what is this, Hollywood glass? Does it say Hollywood on there? I don't know if you could see that. Anyway, welcome in. Cheers.
Ginger. I forgot. I need to go look up the ginger beer stuff too.
Oh, that's right. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, I'll go to work.
Okay. So welcome in on this numerical 10-10-20 day, I guess, right? It all adds up. But I'll tell you what doesn't add up. Conspiracy theories. We're not going to talk about that. No politics. I know there's not enough places online and social media to talk about politics. If there was only one more, right? No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have a couple of drinks. Hi, Nathaniel Lawrence. How are you? Hi, Amy Six. Hi, all. Yes, we do have all. We have some guests. Amy Hull says, hi, Jack. Drinking a Bacardi, Torch, Cherry, something. Jack, how are you, says Catherine. Hello. Damn good to see you, Jack. Not even good to see you. Damn good. Thank you. Tracy Waters. Hi from Indiana. I don't know who's that before. Bubba. Cindy Cole. Hi, guys from Delaware. Check in. A salute. Andre. Hi, Jack Maxwell. Hello, Andre Henriquez. Franco Fusaro. Hi, Jack. Who else we got? Anyway, Catherine Dahlgren. That's a mother of a glass. What does that mean? You like that? That's by Shag, the artist. I got a bunch of those. Anyway, why do I have a jacket on in Arizona? Because it's so hot here. Because I keep this place icy. I love it nice and cold. Anybody who knows me knows that, just like my drinks. Cindy Cole, yay, no politics. Why would there be? No politics, thank God, says Reb Wayne. Everyone who says no politics usually is on the other side of my politics. That's why they like no politics. Rose Paddles. Hi, Jack, long-time watcher, first time on my own phone. Well, congratulations to that. All right, so hold on a second. Before you put any of that up, here's why no politics. Not that you shouldn't have a point of view. Not that you shouldn't really feel strong about what's coming up. I mean, this is a big election. It's two different directions, probably as different as in my lifetime. And I know where I'm voting. I know which way. I know what I want to happen to this country or with this country. A lot of my friends certainly know my position. I'm not going to force that on you, but it's okay to talk about it. Here's one thing that happened this week on social media. I made a little joke about the news about Trump's taxes, and all his supporters went nuts. Not all of them, of course, because he's got tens of millions. But a lot of them said, shut up. Entertainers shouldn't talk politics. It was, first of all, it was a little joke. And I could have been so much. I mean, the things they were saying, it wasn't political, although I have a political point of view and it might be opposite that. But I wouldn't. There's enough politics, right? I wouldn't ham you over the head. I know what I'm doing. And I will say this, I hope everybody votes. But don't tell entertainers or whatever you want to call me just to shut up. What do? Are you a baker, a doctor, a lawyer? What? A trash man? Anything you do, you should have an opinion. That's why we live here, right? Because we understand that's what's great about America. We should be able to speak our minds whatever we want to. And I can take the criticism. Fine. Oh, you're going to unfollow me. You're not going to watch any of my stuff. Great. If that's how you feel. I'm not going to shove it down your throat. But I do care. I do have a point of view. And you do too. That's why you hated it so much that I made the tiniest of jokes against your guy because you're so sensitive. But that's it. We're going to talk drinks now, by the way, and everything else. This is your show. I like to say that because you took the time to join me, to come in, to have a drink, to tell me what you're drinking. So let's put some of those up there, Ken. What do we got drinking tonight? Anybody say anything yet? Amanda Brown. Hi, Jack. Hope you're doing well. Having some Fireball and a Bud Light Lime. Sending you love from Clarksville, Tennessee. Amanda Brown. Clarksville, what's that like? It's about, all I know is the last train from Clarksville, right? Willie Corcoran. I just hit the pillow. Love you, man. I just might grab a weed dram. Ah, yes, a weed dram, Willie Corcoran. I wouldn't expect anything. Nice. You just hit the pillow. How early is it where you are? How late? Have an Americano, the cocktail. Hi, Kiara. It's so great to everybody come in. Bloody Mary says Sharon Brown Miller Whittingham. That's a lot of names. Whittington. I'm so sorry. Alex, a Vermont Craft Beer. Thank you for joining me, Alex. Oh, thank you for joining us, by the way. What else we got? Meredith Canning with a glass of red wine and an emoji. Not just red wine, but the emoji to really cement it in there. Ken, Belvedere and soda. Mike Palmer, Old Smoky Blue Flame Moonshine. Will plant you on your rear. Got that right. I must have had some of that when I did the Tennessee episode. I'm quite sure I did, whether on camera or off. Edward says Dirty Martinis and 420. I see what you're doing with that. Okay, Kim. Platform Hayes Jude IPA. Anybody else want to say hi? Come on in. I like those colors you got, Ken. Very 50s pink and white. Looks good. Jeff. Hi, Jack. Kicking back in the shop. What shop? With a cold brew, watching my Fighting Irish. Oh, that's right. Notre Dame. That's right. Tampa, Florida, Monkey Gin and Tonic. Doug Rakowski. By the way, we can talk about whatever you want to. We just stay off politics because everybody's so sensitive. We're getting close to the election. Let's talk about fun stuff. Brandon Elvis Howard. Having some rock in your honor with my fiance Zumi in Turkey. You're watching this in Turkey. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Raka, as they say, they don't pronounce the I in Turkey. It's very anisette-based, strong liquor. Oh, it means a lot to them. Lion's milk, they call it. You mix it with clear water, and it's clear itself. It comes in very cloudy and milky. It's wonderful stuff. Drinking with you, my Boston brother, says Brian Kramer. Cheers. Cheers to Beantown and to you, Brian. Stephanie, good to see you, Jack. We're having wine on a patio in Lake Tahoe. Nice. How's the weather? It's hot here in Arizona. A tiger kiss, scotch and milk. Yummy, says Joe. Nice. Field. Sorry, I can't. As I get older, my eyes get worse. I should put on glasses. Anyway, so we have a guest who has been a friend of mine for, I guess, since the 80s. Of course, you lose touch, you move away, you go off and do things. But his father was a mentor to me when I worked at a radio station here in Phoenix, which is where I am now. You know, I live in LA basically, but I'm here. I just wrapped up chemo treatments and maintenance chemo. And then I had this other thing. Anyway, I'm here in Phoenix, but I used to live here a long time ago. My mother moved us here when we were kids. And I worked at a radio station. And then this guy, such a nice guy. He was really well known. Did all the sports on television and radio. Really sweetheart of a guy. Took me under his wing, mentored me a little bit as I decided what I wanted to do. Anyway, his son is also very talented, and he's been on the air here in Phoenix since the 80s. So if you're watching this anywhere near Phoenix, I'm sure you know his voice. I wonder, Ken, if you can not bring him on, but just turn on his mic and let him do a little thing that he does, see if you can recognize the voice. Can we do that? Or do we have to have his camera on too?
Mark has to hit the stop cam on his side, and then I can bring him up.
All right, hit stop cam, Mark. And because we're not going to say his last name. And then do a little spiel, will you? Or just say hello or whatever you want. Here we go.
Well, actually, right now, you're going to find delays on I-17 northbound near Happy Valley Road. The right lane is blocked by some weekend construction. I need you to move left to get by. That's expected to last through the weekend.
Oh, man, you've heard that all over the place. From the 80s on now, say hi to Mark Jeffrey, my buddy. Hey, Mark.
Hey, buddy. Great. How are you, Jack? Good to see you, bud.
You too. That was great. It's so wonderful to reconnect with you. You know how I feel about your father and you. You're such a good guy. And you've been doing this for so long. Something that you might not know about Mark is he has done, in his estimation, over 750,000 traffic reports. Yep. Right?
I have over 750,000 traffic reports.
That's unbelievable.
And one of these days, I'm going to get it right, buddy. If I keep working at it, I'm polishing my craft still.
How many times can you say if there's a backup on I-17?
750,000 times apparently there, Jack. But
No doubt.
back when
Well,
you and I were on the air, we didn't even have most of the freeways that we have now.
That's true. Oh, Phoenix was a one-horse town for the longest time when I moved there in 1975. But for everyone not in Phoenix, we're not going to Rose local. Hi, Mark. We're not going to have you do traffic. That's not why we having you on, of course. Hi, Mark, says Jackie Green. You have a not only a wonderful on-air talent, but you have a talent for collecting things. And when you told me about beer cans, being that this is a drinking-esque themed show, I wanted to have you on. So thank you for your time and thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, buddy. And you know, I remember back when you and I started on the radio station, which was, by the way, I have one of the what we call.
Oh, we lost you. What happened?
There we go.
Oh, that's it.
Yep, it's one of the mic flags that used to go. Now this is still KFYI still there. It's 550 now, but back in our day, Jack, it was 910, and you and I were a couple of tots when we were on that station trying to figure out what we were going to do with our lives. And you, because of the way you look, and you're a good-looking guy, you went to the visual, and I stayed in the audio. And thanks for the Star Wars stuff for noticing that. I appreciate it.
All right, listen. All right, enough with the jokes. I'm sure people are bored, but you can make fun of me all you want. I would be concerned if my friends stopped making fun of me. So thank you for doing that. So first of all, you got a lot of stuff there, and but the one thing you told me about that got my attention, and they're all really cool. I'm sure I want to see them all. But you have one of the oldest. First of all, you have a beer can collection.
I do.
But you have the oldest beer can ever made. Is that true?
That's true. Kruger Cream Ale was the first beer ever in a can. It was February 1935. Canning was a thing that the can companies obviously wanted to push so that they could make money. And your big beer folks like Budweiser and Pabst said, we're not putting our good taste in beer into a hunk of steel because it tastes funny. They figured out the taste thing by putting something they called keg lining. So can company said, okay, now what's your complaint? They still weren't sure about putting beer in a can. So there was a little company called Kruger, and I'll get the can. Back in 1935, February, they tried it. This is the test run. This is the first beer can ever made.
Wow.
That's a Kruger Cream Ale. Now, the funny thing is, and see how you needed an opener back in those days? If you didn't have a church key, as they call it, one of these bad boys. Do you remember these church keys? Your grandpa used to poke open his beers with this.
Oh, I remember that. We used to open a lot of Hawaiian punches with those.
Exactly.
Hawaiian punch?
They call them church keys. Yeah. So it was Kruger Cream Ale. So this is the first beer can ever. And this thing's worth more than my car, to be honest with you. Although I don't have a great car, but yeah. So then I was telling her, well, we were talking about your show here. And I said, well, there is kind of a connection with the first beer can ever made, Kruger Cream Ale.
That's wild. Now, how many did they make?
At first they did a run of 1,000 cases, I believe, and just to see how it would work. And it took off because A, they chill faster. B, they're easier to stack. It was much lighter. If a couple of them fell over, you didn't have a problem with breakage. The sun didn't affect the beer if it was stored anywhere near light. So it had a lot of advantages. And then beer cans just took off from 1935 until today. And then aluminum came along in the 60s.
So they were made of steel.
It made a straight steel, and they had a seam that ran along the side. And this can's so old, it even has instructions on how to open it with the church key, because people would get this can and I guess they figured, or maybe after a couple of beers, you forgot. Look, you take the church key and you open your can.
Like it has a hole. Is that full?
No, we put a new bottom on it for sale. That's what us in the Collectors Club do.
Collectors Club. I'm going to talk about that with you in a minute. But This is one of the original 1,000 cases, or just somewhere in that collection?
Yes, because we call this guy in the business in the club a baldy. This is a K can, Kruger Cream Ale. He's not wearing a hat here, and I have one from 1937 when he's got a hat. See? Hat, no hat here, hat here. This one's a couple of years older than this one.
And it's in better shape, by the way. That's why it's worth so much money.
It is. The funny thing is that we talk about why do I even have these cans? How did these things survive all those years somewhere in barns or wherever they're found, and it made its way to my hands and didn't get recycled along the way.
Right. Well, that's relatively new. I know they didn't recycle back in the day. But my question is, and I don't know why my mind works this way, that bumps into World War II, and they needed all the steel for everything, right? So
that's right.
What did they do? Did they
so
not
this
make
can evaded the steel drives of World War II, my friend. That's a great point, Jack. That's why probably it's so valuable, because obviously they ended up making millions and millions of beer cans of all different brands. But what happened was a lot of them got melted down. Any piece of steel was melted down for the war effort, World War II.
Sure.
So,
now, we didn't get in until after Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. But World War II started before that, obviously, before we jumped in. So did they still make cans out of steel from during the war, or did they make it out of something else?
They just they rationed it more. And what they did for the troops that they would send overseas, the cans they'd send overseas, they made them just an olive drab color. I can't pull one down for you, but it's just, you can barely read it, because they didn't want our boys drinking a Budweiser with the glinting steel off the sun and giving away their location. So the super valuable cans are ones that were shipped overseas that you can barely read that it says Budweiser on it. And they did that so that the troops wouldn't be in danger.
How many cans you got?
About 1,000.
About 1,000. So I know that's your oldest. What's your favorite? What's your most prized? Not in terms of money, but as far as what it means to you, sentimental value.
Well, it's probably this Kruger one. It's a tie between this Kruger Cream Ale, which my wife bought for me at the last Beer Can Collectors Convention in Albuquerque, New Mexico last summer. Yes, we have a convention every year with a bunch of beer can collectors.
Albuquerque.
Of course it's in Albuquerque. But I would have to say, because I'm from Pittsburgh, my wife got me this can, Iron City. It's the first Iron City from 1936. If you're around Pittsburgh or that area, you're familiar with
everybody knows Iron City.
Everybody knows Iron City. This is the first Iron City beer can. It's what it looks like. And you might be asking yourself, why does it look like an oil can? Well,
that's right.
If you don't mind me giving you just a slight bit of history. So as the can companies tried to convince these beer manufacturers, hey, why don't you put your beer in cans? We'll give you all the cans. We'll give you a great price. Well, the beer folks said, no, we have bottling machines. You know what the cost would be. And so the beer folks said, what if we gave you a can shaped like a bottle? Then you wouldn't have to change your machinery. And so a lot of the can companies said, okay, fine, we'll give it a try. And they did. These are, again, easy to stack. So this is from 1936. This is the first Iron City beer can. And my wife got this for me as a gift many years ago. And that's why it means a lot to me.
Oh, that's very sweet. How nice. And you got 1,000 cans. You still collect them. Do you trade them at these conventions, or do you just go there and talk?
Yes, no, both. We trade. The reality is the way eBay works now, I could literally buy any beer can I want. And there's 12,000 or so available, old and new, as of today, between 12,000, maybe 12,500. When you consider all the IPAs, I mean, a lot of people are putting beer in cans today. So there's about 12,000. I focus on cans prior to 1962, because that's when the pop top was invented. So continuing with the history here behind me, this is one of the first Budweiser cans. This is from 1941.
Looks like a can of soup.
Yeah. So that's your first Budweiser can. You'll see you needed an opener to get at the suds. So, you poke your two holes so it'll come out. And then this is 1941. And there's variations. And then in 1962, they invented something called the tab top. I don't know if you can see that here in the bottom. It says tab top. Yeah. Because voila, 1962, you don't need an opener anymore, folks. You can get drunk anytime you want, and you don't need any utensils with you. So I collect cans because there's just so many. Most of my collection is prior to 1962. That's kind of what I focus on. Cans that are basically you need an opener for.
That pop top one reminds me of that great song by Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, Stepped on a Pop Top.
That's right. You remember those ring poles that we had?
And so people used to step on them, and it would cut their feet, and it was litter. So then they started making them, which they still do now. You just kind of push it in, and it stays on top.
You just pop it open, like these ones. This is what they look like today.
Right, that's exactly right. Which one is that you're drinking? And we're
This is beer, Jack. Well,
It's
you're
like,
probably
wow.
laughing, but you've been in hundreds of movies and other TV shows and everything, and you're world famous, and you've probably been in scenes with these cans. And this is made by Falstaff, actually. But what they would do, because for you, not this wasn't necessarily made for movies, but what they would do is put these. It would just say beer. They would ship it off to stores, and then a store, A&P or whatever, would put their name above here. So that's a standard old, what they call beer can. And then to be on your show, I was obviously very excited, and I thought, well, what am I going to drink to be on Jack's show? So I thought, well, I could drink Jack's beer.
Oh, you're so funny.
But the problem is, I thought, well, let's go with a good tasting beer. Let's go with Mark's beer.
Oh, you're too funny. That's Mark 5, by the way. Whatever that means. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
That's great. You know, it's Brian has during booze travel. Did you ever go back to sample that booze you had? Okay, the one in the vault. All right, so let me tell you about that. If you don't know, that's a great question, Brian. So my greatest beer experience was not even drinking beer. It was the whole history behind this one thing I did in Amsterdam. There's a fort there that they used to fight off the Nazis in World War II. They even tried to blow the top of it off where they had the garret, where they have the weaponry, and they couldn't. It's such a great fort, but now they use it as a beer bank, and they age beer down below, and it stays the perfect temperature. So I signed one on that episode. When did we film that? I think that was maybe 2014 or 2015, and it was for 5 years. So I'm probably just past the time now, and I was going to go back and drink it. But aged beer is so good. It's just all these wonderful different notes and flavors, and that's what Brian was referring to. Thank you for reminding me of that, Brian. That was great. But just all of it, the whole experience. And I did drink some beer there. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just a history lesson, but all of it was just so fun. But no, to answer your question, Brian, I did not go back there. Not yet. Not yet. When everything clears up, I'm just going to jump on a plane, a boat, anything I can get on just to get out of here and travel, because I miss it so bad. And I miss talking to people. Yeah, just the social aspect of doing that show. And he was talking about Booze Traveler. Just to be around people, similar people, different walks of life. It was just so great. And I had such a wonderful experience. So there you go. Brian, thanks for the question. Boyos, no one knows what A&P is anymore.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, A&P is an old grocery store, for those who don't know.
It is.
Now, I don't want to certainly cut you off if you want to talk more about this beer collection, but I'd like to get to your other ones as well. But last question.
But if you're really thirsty, you get the gallon can. Okay, buddy? This is a gallon. That's a gallon.
From where? Regal Select? What year?
This would be I would say in the late 60s.
What did that go for, a gallon of beer?
Back in the 60s? Oh, gosh, I don't know.
No idea? So
no
when you
idea.
make these collections, bring us into this world, because I'm sure many of us haven't attended these conventions. When you go in there, you see old friends, you make new friends. You talk about not latest trends, certainly, because most of it is old by definition. But what is it that you do? You talk about your life, your kids, all of it. You talk about your favorite beer. Is it for beer drinkers as well? Because you're not much of a beer drinker, really, are you?
Well, and to expand, the name of the club is the Breweriana Collectors Club of America. And this is our membership roster for 50. So you've been exposed, Jack, without knowing it, to the Collectors Club in many ways over the years, because there's many of our guys in our club whose collections reside in bars all over the country. I'm sure you've walked into bars in various places where you'll see a collection of beer cans. I can promise you that there's some collector somewhere who donated 50 or 100 or 200 of their cans just for some sort of artwork in the bar. And because we're the Brewery Collectors Club of America, when you go there, all the neon signs, there's a whole bunch of our guys in our club that specialize in neon signs. Other guys do the metal signs. Other guys do the beer trays, which they don't make them as much anymore. And some guys collect nothing but these openers. Some guys just collect the caps that go on these cans. So there's a lot of different, I don't want to say disciplines, because it makes it sound more serious than it is. But it's not just about collecting beer cans. So everybody goes and talks about what they like to collect. And it's kind of like man cave art, if you will,
Sure.
because there's a lot of people that I've got friends that say, hey, Mark, give me some old cans so I can put them up in my bar. And I try to give out old cans where I can.
Oh, that's really nice of you. See, I think whatever your passion is, do it. I was, for whatever reason, the way I'm made, I've just never been a collector. The last time I collected anything, I was a little kid. I started collecting coins when I was 8 or 9 till I was about 10 or 12 at the very latest. And I had a couple of old coins. I had an 1835 dime, an 1853 quarter that my grandmother gave me for Christmas or my birthday, which happens to be the same day. And of course, I collected sports cards back in the day. Yep. Bobby Orr, the Bruins, the Red Sox. I threw away every other card, no matter how valuable they were, and I just kept the home because there wasn't collecting to make money like it is now. Yeah. It's a big business, and I'm sure that I didn't get hold of a Honus Wagner card, but or anything valuable like that. But just all those rookie cards of other teams, I just threw them away, or you'd give. I didn't have a bike, but you give it to kids because they'd put it in their bike. It would make that sound. Yeah. Or you'd flip card. Yep. Right. But we never took them seriously. They were just collected just so you could. For me, it was a visual connection to what I wanted to be in life. Like Bobby Orr was the greatest. I met him after at a banquet. It's the only big thing as a kid I ever really did, that I was taken to an event or something. Everything other than that, it was just basically growing up in the projects. And whatever was around was around. It was fine. I didn't need much. I was a low maintenance kid. But to get to go to that, I got attacked by a dog the day of this Stanley Cup banquet, and he took my arm, ripped it here, and my leg. And I said, no, I'm going to this thing. I was so determined. They said, we're going to have to give you some tetanus shots, and we have to put them right in the cuts. I don't care. Do it. Just go. Cut me, Mick. Whatever. Just stick it in there so I can go. And I met Bobby Orr, and he was everything that I thought he was. So these cards, to look at them, to stare and say, I want to be that person, or I want to play for the Bruins or Red Sox with Yastrzemski and all those guys, Carlton Fisk, all those that you admired. And it was just the visualization. This became a connection to getting out of my life and becoming them in some way. But I never really saw them as value, so I never saved them. And that's the last time I collected. But I think it's wonderful, whatever your passion is, even if you have multiple passions or disciplines, as you say. You have clearly more than one connection. What else you got there? I see Star Wars. I see games. I see lunch boxes. What's next up?
I have a whole bunch of these things, the collectibles. Like I have a whole bunch of Kiss figurines still in the package. A lot of people open them and like to play with them. I don't. Got a whole bunch of your Star Wars collectibles. Some of my older Star Wars stuff is hanging up on the wall. Over here, I've got a bunch of old lunch boxes from years ago.
Oh, that's great. The Munsters.
Yep, you remember that one. And also this one here, which I had a friend of mine sign. That's Danny Bonaducci's signature right there.
Oh,
we worked together on the radio.
Yeah, the Partridge Family.
The Partridge Family. And Danny Partridge was he hosted a show on Power 92 or Phoenix radio station way back in the day. And I brought that in. I said, Danny, you got to sign this bad boy for me. And he did, because he was such a nice guy. And although, he had his troubles along the way, wish him well.
Funny you would bring that up, because this morning I woke up with this feeling.
You didn't know how to deal with?
Never mind. So how did you get into collecting other things? Was the beer can collection your first love?
Well, it gets into a little bit of a personal journey. So my dad was a radio guy, radio and TV guy, as you pointed out, Jack. We moved around a lot. And part of that was, so I just started, when we moved to a new place, we moved to Pittsburgh, I'd start walking the back roads. Just didn't have a lot of friends at the time. It takes a while to make friends. And I would find these old cans, old beer cans. Like this is one of those cans I found in Pittsburgh when I was 12 years old, because it's made by Pittsburgh Brewing. And I started collecting
and you
those.
loved it everywhere you moved from 12 years old to now.
I have. So you mentioned a connection to your childhood. So I like to collect things from those times, and I've kept a lot because when we moved, I would have my stuff. I'd have to make new friends, but I'd always have my stuff. I also collect. I got all my old baseball cards from the late 60s and 70s. I've got a bunch of coins like yourself. And the way it is now is they've really become, at first they were fun, and now I view them as commodities, like owning Amazon stock. Because like I said, this can here is worth more than my car. And I say that it's good for me, sort of. But if somebody wants to buy one now, wow, you really have to put a bunch of zeros on that check.
Would you sell it if someone gave you the right price, or does it mean too much?
Not now. It someday I will. Probably. In other words, so I can take my wife on a nice cruise or something someday, maybe I might sell it. So I view a lot of there's some really special ones, but one of the troubles that a lot of collectors have is their kids don't want their stuff when they die. And then if something was to happen to me, somebody's just going to put these in an antique shop and, they'll get pennies on the dollar. So I would probably like to enjoy some of the cash from some of my collection.
Why not?
And it's kind of for an emergency too, because as you know, broadcast business is a little precarious. So these are kind of my hedge against having problems with the industry, maybe losing my job or whatever.
I could see when you're a little kid, maybe in a way it was a replacement for the friends you didn't have because you didn't set down roots. So then you collected things, maybe again to feel some kind of connection, and then become members of your family in a sense, because it reminds you of a certain place and time, and so they become sentimental and all. But I'm sure some of those, now that you're older and much more aware, unlike me, hi Jack from Miami, hi Lori, unlike me, I never put a value to them. I wish I would have. I was just stupid. I had old comic books and everything. I think my mother threw half the stuff out. But when you collect things now, hi from Brazil, hello Alexander. So whether it's the lunch boxes or the Star Wars, do you look at these things now and not see dollar signs per se, but you know how much they're worth, right? And certain things, you collect them for that reason now, or just because you like that TV show or like that Star Wars or like that whatever else you got there?
I have to like it. I used to have a collection. I'm looking, you can't see it, but I have over 1,000 albums, mostly from the 70s and then in the 80s when you and I were on the radio together. And I've got a lot of records. I had to pare down my collection several years ago. I didn't have to, but I thought, what do I really want to focus on? What do I want to collect? Beer cans, that's a given. I've got my albums. A lot of them I actually played on the radio. And also when I was a wedding DJ back in the day, I did that. I have a large collection of books. I've got a lot of old Mad magazines. Kept a lot of those. So
I love Mad Magazine.
So I got rid of a lot of the stuff that doesn't, like you said, that doesn't have meaning to me. It's like, why do I have this? Is it for value, or is it something that means something to me? So now my collection is pretty much just that it has a personal meaning or connection to me.
Hi, James Brooks. Hi from Southie. You got to shout that out for sure. So with the different things you collect, like you say, you have to like them, Star Wars, lunch boxes, all of that. For me, the best part of that for me, and it's not for me to say it's your collection, it just brings me back. I mean, those lunch boxes, some of those, I mean, look, our heroes, the icons of our time, they're dying off because I think we're the same age, right? How old are you? Are you 57, 58?
I'm 58. I'm your senior, buddy. Don't forget it.
Well, I'll be 58 this calendar year.
Still.
But just, I mean, look, for instance, we just lost Eddie Van Halen. And it's tragic in a sense. I mean, he was 65. It's not like he was at the height. It wasn't that he was 25, but still tragic. He had a family. He had his second wife. He had his kid and still had his love for music. To me, it's tragic. Not because he was famous, but because the world lost this bright light, this talented person who was still making music. And the thing I remember about Eddie Van Halen, outside of his music, he seemed to always be smiling instead of being that rock god who made it seem like with all these faces in it, it was painful, it was serious. He looked like he was really having fun. And I love that about him. Never mind how great he was. But the reason I brought that up is it's nice to, of course, think about the past, not to live there, of course, but to think about what it was like, because looking back on childhood, I don't know how you feel, but they had some really great memories, and I didn't know it at the time, of course, although the adults would say that. They would say, oh, you're so lucky. I said, no, I want to grow up. I don't want to be a kid anymore. But looking back now, playing street hockey and going home and watching your favorite shows, or watching the Bruins or the Red Sox or the Celtics or the Patriots, even though they stunk, it was great for me. I just loved that. Somebody had a Scooby-Doo lunchbox they should have kept. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I kept all the stuff I had. You said you have baseball cards, Mark. What do you have? First of all, what's the one you love the most, and what's the one that's the most valuable?
Well, I have an old Babe Ruth baseball card. That's probably the most valuable. It's a little worn on the edges, maybe worth $1,000. But one of my prized possessions is I have the entire 1972 Topps baseball card season, the whole season. I have every card. There's 740 of them, I believe. And I have them all. I got about half when I was a kid. And then over the years, I've been able to find the rest, and I've got them in a book. I also have all the old original Star Wars trading cards from the late 70s and sure. Empire Strikes Back. And so I have all those cards as well.
Are they worth anything, Star Wars cards? I wouldn't know. Yeah,
they are in good condition. They are. Sadly, I didn't have them in great condition because you'd look at them all the time. Yeah. So, when they wear out a little bit, they're not worth as much. So, but I have them in a binder. It's a little perhaps anal retentive, the way that I categorize them, but they're all stashed and it brings me enjoyment. Whenever you're having a rough time, you just pop that open, takes you back to that day.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, however you have it is how you have it. I mean, I think if I collected stuff, I'd want to use it, and then it loses its value. So you do a little bit of that, and then you save some that you put away for your kids, your grandkids, or just something to look at when you're 80, right. Eating applesauce through a straw at a restaurant, nursing home. I don't know. You say you have all of the 1972 cards. Are any good rookie cards in there that you know?
Oh, I'm sure there are. I have. It's one of the last ones with Roberto Clemente. You might remember him.
Oh, sure. 3,000 hits, Mr. He
got 3,000 hits and then died tragically in a plane crash,
bringing relief supplies to Nicaragua after the earthquake.
Yep. So out of that season, and who was a rookie, be hard to say. I do have a couple of Michael Jordans from the rookie season that I just happened to get in packs, and I have a whole bunch of football cards from the 70s and 80s. So. Yeah, basically what you can't see is this is just a corner of a room that I've got all my my stuff. So sometimes I just come in here and just look at my junk, so to speak.
What's the last thing you collected? What was the last thing you started collecting?
Well, it would probably be these lunch boxes, because I had to go find these lunch boxes. I never kept any of my original ones. I beat the heck out of them.
Which one is that?
So this one's the Universal Monsters.
Oh, right. Okay.
Got that at a trade show. We have your Star Wars. This is an original from Return of the Jedi from those years.
Lunchbox. I remember I had a brown bag. We didn't have lunch boxes.
And you remember the Partridge Family, yeah.
There it is.
So I had one like this. I didn't keep mine because I beat it to heck because, we were boys. It's like you hit things with it. You put rocks in it or whatever.
Of course.
So when I was at a trade show and I saw that, I said, I got to get that. You can't really see it. There's a little mark on there also from David Cassidy. I was able to get him to put a little X on the corner of it. When I went to see him at a concert, I brought it. The radio station I was on, we were doing the concert and got to meet him backstage and go, David, big fan. Dude, sign this. And he did.
And he did. It's funny, too, because Shirley Jones played his mother on the show, but in truth was his stepmother.
That's right.
And I got to meet her.
Sean Cassidy's actual mother.
Right. That's right. But a couple of times I got to meet her. She's so nice to this day. Such a sweetheart. Old school Hollywood. And they're just so nice. Really.
Remember from Oklahoma? She was...
Oh, sure. Never steal anything small with James Cagney. Oh, she was She was a great
Elmer
actress.
Gantry. If you haven't seen her, go
Elmer
check out
Gantry,
some of
sure.
her. Yeah.
She played the hooker with the heart of gold and all of
Yeah.
that. You know, this is how stupid I am. I found a lunchbox once. I forget where I found it. I put it up against the wall where I lived in the projects and used it for target practice, throwing a ball. I had what's called a pimple ball. That is a rubber ball with dots on it that would cut it in half for stickball or tennis, whatever I could use. I think at the time even I was using an orange street hockey ball because that's all I had. And I would put it on the steps and try to hit it like at a carnival or something like that. Yeah. And I just beat the shit out of it. And I don't know what it was. Maybe valuable, maybe not. Probably if I saved it from back then. But I've just never been a saver. And I give you so much credit for doing that. Let's look at some people here and see some of their collections. I'm letting these things go. But let's see here. Let's get to them. Eric Acevedo says, I had a collection of comic books in mint condition. I got married, left them at my mother's house. Later went to get them, but my brother was selling them off to make money. Oh, how much you think they were worth, Eric? Send us a note back. That's got to hurt a little bit. And why is your avatar charging Rhino? Are you mad at your brother still? Is that what that means? Cal Sharp, what about dollar bills with a stamp on it? What does that mean, Mark?
I don't know.
From certain cities? Is that what they mean? I don't know.
You're not supposed to deface money.
That's right. Dave Winstead. Niece has a Cheech, I think you're trying to say.
Cheech and Chong.
Yeah,
okay. I have Cheech and Chong figurines. They're action figures, we call them. We don't call them dolls, but I have those.
Yeah, and they're worth something, right? I'm sure.
That's right.
To you personally as well. Amy Hull. Hi, Amy. I started collecting beer glasses from breweries. That reminds me of the towns and countries we've visited.
She should join our club. That's exactly what in our club. There's a bunch of people. That's all they collect is glasses with beer, with bars or brewery names on it.
So how did they join, Mark? Tell them.
We're all over the place. You can just go to bcca.com. bcca.com.
bcca.com.
BCCA. Or you just Beer Can Collectors of America, Brewery Collectors of America, or you can go to Mark Traffic, my Instagram, and I'll set you up.
I was going to say, if I know Ken, he's probably already typing that in or putting up stuff. Let's tell people how to get a hold of you since you brought it up. Your Instagram handle is Mark Traffic.
Yeah, because I do traffic and my name's Mark, so I figured
there you go.
Let's go with the Mark Traffic angle.
Complicate things and give him a follow. Clearly, he's a fun guy and very talented. Good to know. And on YouTube, you're the Fun Collector Beer Can. Is that?
Well, I'm the Fun Collector, but whoever that person is has 11 million subscribers. So if you put that in, you won't find me. So put in the Fun Collector and put in beer or beer can or something, and it'll take you over to my newer. It's kind of a new page. So hopefully someday I'll have the 11 million subscribers that person does. But I doubt it since it focuses on collections. But you mentioned I put other people's collections on there as well. Coming up, I've got a friend of mine. He's got over 300 concert tickets. He kept every concert ticket he ever went to. I didn't. Wish I did. But he's got them when you line them all out, I'm going to shoot his collection of concert tickets going back to the 70s. He's seen everybody. I'll put that on my YouTube page.
But cool. But that again, that's memories. You just see the ticket and you thought, oh, Tom Petty.
Did you keep any concert tickets, Jack?
Never did. No. Never did. John says, I got one of the biggest Star Wars collections out there, but it's never enough.
No, it's never. It isn't.
Pixie Lee, I collected over 300 fairies. 95% are unique from gas stations, travels, and eBay.
That's awesome. Cool, that's awesome.
How cool, Pixie Lee. Let's bring Ken in because I know he collects stuff. And we were talking about Van Halen earlier. That's why it was on my mind. Hey, Ken, what do you got?
Hey, I collect wine.
Really?
Yes, you go right through them, I'm sure. But
do you buy new ones, Ken, or do you look for ones that are old in particular? What's your specialty, so to speak?
No, I'm joking. I am a wino, and so I have lots of wine.
So you drink it, gotcha.
But I don't do what you do. There's none of them on the ball behind me. Once we empty them, they're getting recycled.
You collect something, Ken. You just might not know it because I know you're such a technical guy and you're kind of a wizard with that stuff. I would bet you have old computers, maybe. Do you have an old Atari or what? Anything in that department?
Yeah, we have a small kind of archive. We used to actually manufacture our own computers, and in fact, somebody sent me an eBay link the other day, and they had a Data Doctors, my company. Somebody was selling an old Data Doctors computer for $39.
Wow.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Ken is the founder and owner of a place called Data Doctors. All the stores that they used to be spread all across the country, and then they downsized a little bit just because Ken does a lot of traveling now. He collects memories, whether he admits it or not, and he does so much traveling with his lovely wife Anita, and they go paddle boarding. They just went today actually, and they take RVs across. This is living to me, and in spite of the pandemic, they're being careful, of course. But they send beautiful. And by the way, on Instagram, you should give your handle, Ken, because you put some of the best pictures up on Instagram I've seen of sunrises, sunsets, and lakes, and ponds, and valleys, and rivers, everything. What's your handle?
It's just, let me put that up there. It's just the Data Doc. But actually, I think more interesting would be for folks to follow my dog.
Your dog.
My dog's Instagram is way, way more interesting. And I'm putting that in here now.
Okay. That's Ken, the Data Doc. And
this is the one you want to follow.
Life with D. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of it when I go on there and I see pets. There's a hamster that has 10 times more followers than I do. A hamster. A hamster. He runs on a wheel. He sleeps. How good is that? I send you pictures. I try to do funny lines and jokes and adventures. A hamster has 10 times more followers than me. That's crazy.
Actually, yeah, you were talking about collections.
I shouldn't complain.
I did the accumulation of stuff. I mean, we had a room. For those of you that live here in Phoenix and have been here for a long time, you guys remember Minder Binders?
Oh yeah,
the burger joint and beer joint
over near Arizona State University. Yeah,
Tempe. So in the old days, you walk into Minder Binders and they had all of this stuff like hanging. It was like going into like an antique store or something. That just, all this stuff was hanging. So we started doing that with all of our travel collection as we traveled through the years. And we had a big room in our old house that had that. And we actually switched to traveling is such an amazing way to collect memories that you're talking about downsizing. We got rid of everything. We actually moved into an apartment, so we had to like get rid of all of that. And so now all of our memories of travel are digitized. And that way they're there forever, if you will. Yeah. But there's just, Jack, you've just the amazing experiences that you never even planned on having. Just because you meet somebody either in a pub or restaurant or even walking down the street, right? That's so amazing.
Yeah, that's my thing. Doing the show, we did 4 years, 4 seasons. Sometimes there are several seasons in a year, depending on what the show is. But we did 4, and as I say many times, I think we went just about 60 countries for me, because I did a couple other things for Travel Channel, 6 continents. And the only regret I have, obviously, I wish I would have gone forever. It was just not a wonderful job, but it's just a great experience. But for me, is we were filming and we had to move so quickly around. We had to get this, we had to shoot. We're chasing daylight, all of that. So I didn't get to just sit there and take it in as much as I would have. But on the other hand, when you're doing 16 episodes a year, 16 one-hour episodes, that's a lot of filming. So you have to be on the move if you want that many experiences. But for me, I would have liked to just breathe and take it in a little bit more than I did. But that's okay. Life's a trade-off, I suppose, in certain ways, right? You were talking about Van Halen before, and you brought up, obviously because we lost Eddie Van Halen this week. But also, are you a big fan of Van Halen? I don't know anybody who isn't really, who can't appreciate his music.
Oh yeah, giant fan. I'm in a crappy metal band called Cover Story. Lead singer is actually Jim Sharp. He's a local morning show host, KTAR Radio. Give Jim a shout out. Anyway, so we play Van Halen music, but when it happened, I had a memory. I saw Van Halen's first tour. Didn't know who they were. 1978, living in Louisville, Kentucky. Concerts coming. Journey, this brand new band called Journey. So my brother and I'm 15. We're the first ones there. Literally not even front row. I'm on the stage like this, waiting for them to come out, and this band comes out, and never heard of them, and it was Van Halen, and I'm literally feet away from Eddie and from David Lee Roth and Michael Anthony and everybody, and I was just blown away. And then the next band up was a band with Sammy Hagar in it called Ronnie Montrose. He was the lead singer, and then Journey came on. But after that, I saw him in person, and I was just a giant Van Halen fan ever since. We talk about collecting. I wish I had that ticket. Not that it'd be worth anything because it'd probably be torn in half, but I wish I had that ticket. Great memory. Well, did you ever see Van Halen in concert?
I'm sorry to say I didn't. I've never seen them, but to appreciate their music. What is this? What do we have here?
The very first concert I ever went to as a teenager was the first tour that Van Halen did as a solo act. They were the headliner.
As the headliner, yeah.
Wow, nice.
Invasion tour. When my daughter found this when she was in high school, she confiscated it, and I haven't seen it since. In fact, I asked her to send me a picture when Eddie passed. Obviously, I have no shot of ever wearing that again. It's way too small.
Yeah, most of us have put on a few pounds, I guess, since 1980.
Yeah, but it was amazing. I remember Alex Van Halen's drum kit was the double bass, but they had them double extended, and they looked like these massive oil cans on the stage. So that it was just one of those. I mean, I still remember I had a little round Panasonic AM radio, listening to, I think it might have been Kriz or one of those old stations in the 70s. And I was going to sleep. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was going to sleep, and the beginning of Running with the Devil came on, that kind of slow build. And you think about in the 70s, we had disco, we had all this other stuff, and then here comes this crazy sounding song that just immediately grabs you. I mean, Van Halen was such a big part of my, my teenage years.
Such a tour de force too. I mean, they exploded onto the scene. I mean, and funny enough, I was talking about Amsterdam earlier with my greatest beer experience, and the brothers were born in Amsterdam. They moved to Pasadena, California. I think Eddie was 7, and English was not their first language. And, they grew up there, and of course, just by luck and pluck and everything else, you meet David Lee Roth and Michael Anthony. You think that with that kind of talent, they would have made it anywhere at any time, no matter who was in the band. But just the fact that they came together the way they did, and it wasn't just straight to stardom. Gene Simmons recorded I think a 10-song demo for them, and nobody picked it up. Nobody did anything with it. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure about these guys. That's like saying no to the Beatles back in the day. Nah, forget it. These mop top guys, we don't want them. And then when they hit the scene, until they decided not to play anymore, they couldn't be ignored. They were just so. I mean, you talk about Running with the Devil, Jamie's Crying, Ain't Talk About Love. Jump was their only #1 song, and you would swear that they had more, because they were just all over the place all the time on radio, from when they wanted to be till even when they switched. And they got, I guess Eddie and David Lee Roth were fighting, so that they got Sammy Hagar, and then they got the lead singer from
Harry Sharon from Extreme.
That's right. They got him for a while, and then they went back to David Lee Roth. And I hear recently Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen, the last couple of years, they kind of made up, and they were of course, they were talking over text or whatever the deal, which is nice to see, because what a lifestyle. And Eddie was so honest about it all: the drugs, the cocaine, the drinking, the smoking, and of course, that lifestyle most likely was the cause of his premature death at 65. But what a legacy he left behind. And I remember hearing him giving a speech just a few years ago, and he said that he was so happy to have turned the corner and to live the life he's living now, because he was bullshitting himself, he said, all those years. And it was just so wonderful to see that kind of redemption story come to life, because a guy with that much talent, we lost so many of those types back in the days, the Janis Joplins and Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and all these people who just overdid it. I mean, Kurt Cobain, who couldn't handle the fame or whatever his reasons were. And to see him come out, not unscathed, but not defeated exactly, and he
Right.
had a second chance at life, and he had a great marriage to Valerie Bertinelli, who we were all in love with from One Day at a Time, of course, and she was only 20 years old when they got married. I think he was 26. They have a son, Wolfgang, and of course, because his father was a classical music fan, and they named him after Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Because everybody thought, oh, it's just another weird name, a celebrity picking a weird name. But that's why it's a tribute. And I think actually Eddie's middle name is also a tribute. I think it's Ludwig, but the I guess in Amsterdam, where we grew up, it's spelled a little differently. But there you go, just some memories of Van Halen. Never saw them in person, but just loved their music and always will.
Yeah, it was a great band. The song that really struck me the most, because I was live on the scene and I saw Eruption right in front of my face that first time. And as a crappy musician myself, he did a thing with a guitar that I'd never seen before, and it just blew me away. A lot of great tunes and everything, but just technically I went to school the next day and told all my friends I couldn't describe to them what Eruption was. I said, you gotta buy the album, because they didn't play it a lot on the radio, that particular little cut. And then since I've been in a lot of bands since then, the test for all the guitar players is like, all right, dude, you want to be in my band? Play Eruption. And they all can, because every guitarist learns it. It's one of those songs. It's like,
Eruption,
know how to play Eruption. You know?
Leading into You Really Got Me.
Yep.
Not Talking About Love.
Ain't Talking About Love, yep.
Just so many great
Ice Cream Man.
Ice Cream Man. That's one
of my favorites. Yeah.
Right now. But his talent, what he could do when he was playing when he was doing a solo on stage. I mean, usually on records, Dance the Night Away. That's another good one.
That's my wife, by the way. That's Jackie. That's my wife.
Oh, hi. I thought the last name looked familiar.
She's got a good name, doesn't she? It's not why I married her, because she's got a name like yours, Jack.
Thanks for
married her
checking
for other
in.
reasons.
That's so nice. You must be proud of Mark. I want to hear what you think privately about all his collections later. But
some of this is hers. Half the Star Wars stuff she had when we met.
Oh, nice. So you're both collectors.
That's why we get along great.
There you go. But they wouldn't, back in the day, even in what they used to call AOR radio stations, they wouldn't
album-oriented rock. Yep.
Right. They wouldn't let you play these long solos all that often. They wouldn't put the records on if they were. But in concert, he does 10, 12, 15-minute solos.
Yeah.
And it's the only way I could say it, it's lightning fast but effortless at the same time. And he's putting the guitar on his lap, and he's just holding it. It's all about the angle, of course, and he's tapping and doing all these things that very few people could ever do, even if they practiced 100 years. He used to boil guitar strings for elasticity. He's just an amazing, amazing musician. But from what I understand, people who know him say he was even a better father. And his son, Wolfgang, said that I was so proud to be that guy's son, which is really nice.
Well, and Jack, you said something earlier, which was dead on. And that was, if you watch lead guitar players, Eddie was one of the few who smiled. Like you said, he looked like he was having fun. The vast majority, your Yngwie Malmsteens and on and on and on, they give you this, like what they're doing hurts or is tough.
Right.
And that's cool. That's just part of the show. Eddie always smiled. He made you feel like he was having a good time. And that's really one of the things I really liked about his showmanship.
I thought so too. He was just like a little kid at play, which is just wonderful. Curtis Jackson, he played by ear, not by music notes. Well, it's my understanding he never learned to truly read music, but he had such a great ear that I don't know why I had to do that like Carol Burnett. Such a great ear that he could play anything. He could mimic anything, and he could play it. And, of course, more importantly, he was innovative. Jim Orr, I heard that when the brothers started playing instrument, Eddie was originally on drums and Alex on guitar. Is that true, Mark?
That's true. That's true, sir.
Why'd they switch?
Well, Eddie would tell you Alex was better. Alex was a better drummer. And Alex, truth be told, is one of the most underrated drummers ever in rock. I know a lot of people know him, and it's the double kick drum and all that, but really he's outstanding with just the steady beats he would lay down. It wasn't all about show for him. He didn't have to be the guy everybody looked at. He was the quiet guy who preferred to kind of sit in the back. He didn't like doing the videos, Alex, because he didn't feel he was a good actor. And of course, David was the opposite. David wanted to do like he did with California Girls in his solo. David Lee Roth was more of the showman.
Sure.
Eddie was too, but Alex was kind of a background guy.
Oh, he sucked up all the oxygen in the room, David Lee Roth.
He did.
Gail said, thank you. Thank you for checking in, Gail. Greg, he was incredibly talented. I've seen him 2 times.
Nice.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry I didn't. But yeah, I mean, I guess if Alex was the shy one and David Lee was the opposite, I guess Eddie was probably in between there a little bit, you know?
Right.
I don't know what – I know he said that he started drinking whenever he did. He's young, but he had to drink to go to high school. So maybe he had some social anxiety. Maybe he found a friend in the guitar, and that's how he came out of his shell. Whatever it was, I'm just so appreciative that he had that talent and shared it with the world the way he did. Yeah. Because I said this on social media when somebody gave a shout out to him and who he was. I said it felt to me like his music was truly a reflection of who he really was, right? It wasn't some made up stuff. He wasn't trying to be someone else. You felt that if you ran into him at the grocery store or the post office or whatever, that he was that guy. He might not be wearing those outlandish clothes, but maybe. But it felt like he was him. One of my favorite Van Halen songs, Panama. I live here now. Yeah. Panama. You live in Panama. Wow, Claudine. Thanks.
Bring me a beer can.
Yeah, do that. We'll get it tomorrow. By the way, we're lucky enough to say that this is broadcasting around the world. So many people checking in from all over. And by the way, if you're watching this from another country, not that we value you anymore, but let us know, because there are people in the UK and Brazil and obviously South America, Panama, Central America, all of that, that check this out because they're fans not of me, but of Booze Traveler and what that meant to go around the world and to share experiences with people. I was just lucky enough to be the host. I think there are a handful of people, and by handful, I mean a ton, that would give up just even for a moment, a week, a day, a month, a year, to give up what they're doing to have that experience. And I was lucky enough to, and I'll always be grateful to Travel Channel for that experience and to the people I met. You know, it was just so eye-opening and enriching. I always thought that we were more enriched, as I just said, by the sum total of our experiences than any material goods like big houses and money and things like that. And I'm so lucky I was able to do that. And it was just so wonderful. So when I get emails or letters or text or social media, I'm at Southie Jack, by the way, on Twitter and Instagram, if you don't know that already, it saying they're from other places and they appreciated what we did to show their country in a good light. I didn't really. We just showed them as they really are. That's how your place is. We didn't put any spin on it. We didn't spiff it up or anything. We loved every place we went. And of course, as is the case, some more than others, but it was just a wonderful experience. What about you, Mark? You like traveling?
I do. It's been a while. My wife, her family's all from Mexico. So we're hoping to go back to Mazatlan and see some of those folks soon when travel is a little bit more permissible than it is now. Sure. But yes, I would like to see all the United States eventually. I've seen a bunch. I haven't been to Alaska or Hawaii. So, and I'm guessing that you've been to both.
Not Alaska.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's weird to me. I always wanted to, and I know there's a wonderful cruise up there and all of that. Never really been a cruise guy per se, but I've been to Hawaii a few times. I did a show called Lost there. Yep. And another one called Beyond the Break. So the first 4 or 5 times I went, it was to film before I got to go for fun. And then I filmed Booze Traveler there, and then Best Bars there, both Maui and Oahu. So yeah, I've been there a bunch of times, and I love it. It's just paradise on earth.
Hey, folks need to check out your IMDb page, dude, because you've done a lot. And what you can't see behind Jack there is his rows of Emmys that he's got.
See, first of all, I've never even been nominated for an Emmy. All I did was little guest stars and things like that.
You're ripped off, my friend.
Till I started hosting and doing more. Mark, it was so great to have you on. I appreciate your time and everything that you collected. But you have, you're such a great personal story too. Maybe you come back on again and have a drink with us.
I'd love to, my friend. And
we'll talk some more about your collection and some other things if you want. I find it fascinating. Just because I don't do it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. And that's the problem with politics today. I said one little thing and everyone's jumping on and they're on each other. No, you said this, you said that. How do you not like him? How do you like him? How can you vote for him? How can you not? It's ridiculous. Listen, it's very important. But for you to not have any kind of tolerance for the other side's point of view, this is where we are. Our enemies, both foreign and domestic, would want this. They would want us clashing and fighting. Don't let them do that. We're still, at the end of the day, all Americans, aren't we? And for everybody who joined us both here in the United States and outside, thank you so much. I hope you'll join us again. Here's to you. I'm at the end of my drink. Time to refresh.
Me too.
So we should wrap this up. I promise not to keep you more than an hour, and we went a little bit over. Thank you for joining me, Mark.
Thanks, buddy.
And here's to you. Thanks, folks. I'll see you again next time. Salud.